I do note a basic change, in Germany especially, in Europe more generally, which is in the 1990s, German elites were teaming up with the French and seriously considering establishing the EU as an alternative to NATO, an alternative to American power. And that was a big concern in Washington, all right? Trying to stop that was a major foreign policy objective. There was a lot of fear in the United States that the Europeans basically would. I think the logic was this, that with the end of the Cold War, the United States was in a position to establish itself almost as a global dictator. And American officials were quite open. That's exactly what they wanted to do. That they would be the power without peer who can dictate terms to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world would have no choice but to comply. And again, this was a neoconservative project. Someone named Paul Wolfowitz came up with this idea. He was a former aide to Senator Henry Jackson. The Europeans saw that as an unhealthy situation, particularly the French and the Germans. And the idea was that Europe could establish itself as an independent pole and a challenger to American hegemony, not so much at the military level, but at the political economic level, and act as a check on U.S. unilateralism and U.S. recklessness. And that was the project. It was thwarted by the United States. I mean, it's a long story. It's the subject of my previous book, not the recent one, as to how that was done. The intervention in Yugoslavia had a lot to do with it, basically, that the United States tried to show it was the dominant power through intervention in Yugoslavia, and that the Europeans really would have no role or no independent role in managing these affairs. And I think basically by the 21st century, the French and Germans basically gave up. That's my impression, and decided that the only possible way we can go is to become, forgive the phrase, a vassal of the United States. And then we could, in international relations and political science, they talk about bandwagoning. That, what weaker states do is they bandwagon with stronger states and try and get some small advantages from bandwagoning with stronger states. I think that's the conclusion France and Germany drew. Britain was doing that, so why shouldn't France and Germany do it as well? It led predictably to completely reckless and destructive policies exactly of the sort that many of the advocates for European independence had warned about. And the Europeans feel they have no alternative but to go along with it. I guess I'm surprised at the degree to which this has happened, that the extent to which Germany in particular is willing to ruin its economy to appease the Americans. It's willing to completely turn the other cheek when the United States blows up the Nord Stream pipeline, which is clearly what the U.S. did. It's willing to even prevent any independent investigation or block any independent investigation into this, which is astonishing considering it has damaged their economy. And the full story of how that has happened, I'm not in a position to say, and I think that some intrepid investigator and researcher in the future will have to basically tell how that happened.